Hello, hello. We're going to be reading more Game Club, a series of standalone doujinshis released by this person, Imitation Crystal, who everyone calls Moza Chris, as like kind of a short form. So I made some videos on these previous two chapters. I really don't think many people watched them, but if you did, I hope you learned about this series. I hope you read the whole thing and checked it out. Maybe you already knew about the series and liked it. Whatever. I made it pretty clear that I love this series. Here you can see the 10 I gave it. I hope I explained, at least to some extent, why this series seems so special to me and why I'm so intrigued by it. But you might be wondering, okay, Kisa says they're a big fan, but how big a fan could they really possibly be? Well, I found out while reading the comments that Penny Theater, the Scanlation group doing this, didn't actually have the 11th volume, which is the final volume. So I was like, kind of freaked out by this. I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to see how it ends. That's terrible. And I set off to go try to find the final volume myself to buy so that I could help out and get that scanned. What I found is that the final volume is actually extremely rare. All of the volumes, to some extent, are kind of rare and expensive, but the final volume especially, I could not find like practically anywhere. I saw it once for over 10,000 yen just for that one volume. I was like, oh geez, I don't know if I want to pay that much. But then I found this, which is all of the volumes. You can see it's actually quite thick, each one, because some of them are like double volumes that I guess were like maybe a re-release later. And it includes the final volume, Game Club Final. And it was only, given that this by itself was over 10k yen, only 18,000 yen. Now you might be familiar with the conversion rates between Japanese yen and Canadian dollars, and you might be like, oh my god, you just spent a lot of money on comics. But look, okay, I can't go to restaurants anymore. I can't go clothes shopping. I can't like go to Toronto and hang out with my friends. What else am I going to spend money on? So yeah, this is sold, of course, to me. It's being shipped over here, probably quite slowly. I'm quite surprised, happily surprised, that there's two new chapters out. But I'm also a little worried. If they get all the way to volume 11, then everybody's going to be waiting for my Mercari order or Mercari order to come in. It's like, oh, geez. Please mail. Okay. So let's read the final chapter of the ninth volume. And then the first volume, or the first chapter of the penultimate volume 10. I love this page. I love these characters. They just work so hard. They don't want any part of the drama. They just want to make games. Oh, but I love Prez most of all. Even though I was just like, I told my friend, by the way, that I'm like, oh, when I said I really related to Prez, I hadn't read the chapters where she talks about holding in the knife with the intent to stab someone. And he was like, yeah, that makes a big difference. So I'm glad I pointed that out. We should go see a movie together to patch things up. It'll be fun too. She already tried this. This is an idea she already had. Cartoon movie about monsters playing right now. Fun experience helped them rethink their relationship as well as care more about monsters. Because that is a big theme of the game, is that the previous races that you encounter, the fishman and the snake men and stuff, that there's kind ones among them, that you need to be sympathetic towards individuals, even of a monstrous race. Yoshiko has a strange look on her face. I think she's like, this is never gonna work. Why is Prez such a dumbass sometimes? The princess's evil empire. You two have been working so hard lately. I'm giving you a trip to the movies. It'll be fun. I like how often Prez says, it'll be fun, or it'll be fine. I think I say stuff like that a lot too. I genuinely don't know how much I relate to her anymore. I need to know more. I'm so intrigued. Of course, I'll be taking notes from it too. Got stuff about caring about monsters in them. Ooh, he's actually super into it. I thought he would be like, I don't want to go see another movie with Mori Ishikawa. Last time was so awkward. Really don't have to do this. Kate knew the theater. Want to stop by there too? It'll be like a date. Oh, yo, okay, all right. Let's be real here for a second. This is totally a tangent, a 100% tangent. But let's be real. You know, dating. It's like a part of life. I've dated. I'll date in the future, probably. Not until social distancing is over, but when you think about dates, what do I want to do on a date? What's fun on a date? If I could take a date to a Japanese arcade and be like, yo, look at how good I am at these games. Well, I wouldn't be so obnoxious about it. But just the experience we would have playing all these different games and stuff, doing print clubs and taking pictures and stuff. That seems like a god tier date. I don't know, man. For anybody that I'd want to be dating, if I said to them, let's go to the arcade, I'd want an enthusiastic yes. I think that would be a good determiner of a suitability in this relationship. And then the fun we could have. Man, sucks. I guess there are some arcades in North America. It's not the same. It's not the same. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to make myself depressed. And I'm probably already going to get depressed reading this chapter. About time you get along with each other, right? As long as I get to have lunch too, yeah. Last time she ordered like so much stuff. This is pretty interesting. I didn't think this would be like a plot line again. That they go on another date. Or date. Or date. Could be okay. Gotta know by now that you're trying to force them to get along. Yeah. Might not having a big fight and just go home. Fine, probably. I like that they're actually a little concerned here. Bishiko-chan and Otoyone, or whatever his name is. Otonye? He's still trying to make a killing machine. This again. I've already given up on that ages ago. The way she says that is so weird. That she doesn't deny it. She doesn't dismiss that she wants it. Just that she's given up. That it was just like unfeasible. So weird. Just don't want them to end up quitting the club, that's all. So here they are again. Nice paneling. You know, more and more I've come to appreciate Imitation Crystal's art. There's like a subtlety to it, a subtle genius to it that would take way too long to explain. But these are really nice shots. There's plenty of couples too. Why would he point that out? Don't bring up stupid things. Yeah, exactly. Why would you bring that up? Prince is in the Japanese title, but the original title is completely different. How to Make an Evil Empire. They slapped it onto a cartoon movie from a different distributor, apparently. Interesting. So it's a Western movie? It's like a big novel to me to think about Japanese people going to see Western cartoon movies subtitled in Japan. I've actually done it. When I was in Japan last time, I went with my friend to see Wreck-It Ralph 2 in English with Japanese subtitles. And it was a lot of fun. It was very fun to be able to read enough Japanese to like understand how they were trying to translate like jokes and stuff. That added a whole other layer of interestingness to it. Anyways, I love that they include these like logos and stuff. The commitment to like accurately capturing the experiences of consuming media in this series, I think is phenomenal. Oh, they have sub. Wait, so the subs are in English, or did Penny Theater? I guess I can ask. I'm in their Discord now because I wanted to tell them I was buying the volumes. I was like, "Yeah, you guys don't have volume 11, right?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Guess what I bought?" Made me feel really good. I really like being able to help in small random ways with scanlation. It's very similar to when I started scanning Oyasumi Punpun. It was literally just like hey, I bought all the volumes I could of this series, and I noticed the latest volume goes past the scanlations. Do you guys not have the raws? And Hawks was like, yeah, nobody bought the latest volume. I was like, okay, I guess I'll scan it. It just kind of happened. Anyways, so this little bratty kid joins up with the evil emperor man. Okay. Yeah, this is a fun concept. This really feels like it could be a movie. Hate heroes. Hey, this is like Garo in One Punch Man. Well, kind of. Yeah, it's actually quite a lot like Garo. I love this kind of message though. Like, it's such a cool subversion to reread good versus evil series from the perspective of evil, with a sympathetic look at evil. I think that's actually really cool. This is something that's intrigued me for a long, long time. And I think, oh man, sorry, my mind is going in like 3 different directions at once. But if you're watching this video and have seen my other Game Club videos, I'm sure you saw this coming. But one thing that I think is interesting is that the way that villains are depicted in heroic series is super fascisty. And here I refer to a specific, there's like the checklist for fascism that someone wrote at one point that's like extremely cognizant, extremely like almost prophetic of so many different fascist regimes to come. There's like a playbook that they all use. And one of the things is that you must establish your enemy as simultaneously being very weak and defeatable and crushable, but then also kind of all powerful, lurking everywhere, constantly conspiring against you from positions of power. And if you think about how villains are depicted in series, it's always like this, that they have this shadowy hideout from which they seem to know everything, subtly control things, always deploying villains to go fight. But then those villains lose in every episode, right? There's like a kind of a paradox here where they can never actually crush the great evil. So like in Inspector Gadget, for some reason that's the one that comes to mind. Dr. Claw is always in his lair. He's always sending out agents to go do his bidding. They can't catch Dr. Claw. They can't defeat him. They can't stop the flow of the agents. But each individual agent is inevitably, and sometimes quite trivially, stopped by Penny and Brian. I don't know why I'm using Inspector Gadget as a reference, but I'm sure you can think of thousands and thousands of stories that are like this. But that is really the fascism playbook, is to have an enemy that's like that. So of course, a very classic and well-known example is the way that the Nazis depicted Jewish people. Sorry, this is going to get really heavy, but simultaneously they would argue that Jewish people were in control of all the world's banks, all the world's resources. They were behind every war. They were behind every catastrophe. They were devious and plotting to destroy the world for their own gains. This has been propaganda used against Jewish people for a long, long time, and the Nazis kind of appropriated a lot of these tropes and stuff. And in terms of actually advancing the goals of fascism, the point is to have an enemy that's like this, because it solidifies the people's will, and it kind of keeps them in this constant state where they feel like they're being protected by the state, the fascist state, from this shadowy, all-powerful enemy. But then at the same time, the Nazis made it really clear that the Jewish people were inferior, that they were weak, that the Aryan race was stronger and should stamp out the Jewish people for the benefit of the world and for the benefit of advancing humanity, this very eugenics driven mindset. Okay, so simultaneously, they allowed people to worship the state in service of their protection, but then also were empowered by the state to stamp out what they saw as this low, crude, dirty enemy that would be scarcely a threat to them, like scarcely would give any resistance. Where was I going with this? No, that was just an example. That was just a real world example. But you can see how that lines up with your classic comic book villain who exists in this shadowy realm of evil, but then is defeated every week, right? That same kind of paradoxical mindset. And then in the end, you end up both worshiping the hero and then wondering like why it is that the hero bothers to stamp out this weak flunky every week, right? Like, oh man. But yeah, this also reminds me of something my cousin said a long time ago. We were talking about in WoW that he was playing Horde in WoW, and he said Alliance is way more popular because people perceive them as the good guys. And I don't know enough about WoW lore to talk about who are the good guys and bad guys, and it's not really the point. And he says, so I really like playing Horde because there's like less of them, and I like the idea that there's like that base. How did he put it? But basically, it's actually like a very interesting phenomena. Like if there's a group that's smaller and can be marginalized and be othered, it's not necessarily saying that one group is right and one group is wrong, one group is just and one group is evil, but that if there was a situation where the larger group was evil and the smaller group was right, you wouldn't actually know that. Like you wouldn't be able to know that because the larger group would control the narrative, such that whereas the opposite, where uh, like it's like the same story either way. So the only potential for like true revolutionary action is from the smaller group to the larger group. Oh man, sorry, this is getting. It's literally like two panels I'm talking about. Like, why am I talking about all this? But yeah, we talked about a few other examples of this, like something that I thought was always. I'm not like super into Star Wars or anything. Like I haven't even seen any of the latest movies. But one thing that I always thought it was cool about the lore was that there was like tons and tons of Jedi, the quote unquote good guys. And then the Sith, there was only ever two. That this is part of the lore that the Sith operate as a master student pair. And that basically the Sith have to be like so resourceful, so cunning. They have to go to such lengths in order just to kind of survive and to thrive and to continue their way of life, because they're so outnumbered and outpowered by the Jedi. Like they have to work so much harder. And I remember talking to my cousin about this, and he's like, "Yeah, like that's interesting to me." Okay, anyways, all of this is to say, and it's good that I got this tangent out of my system during this and not during One Punch Man when the same themes are being addressed in this kind of niche artsy series that probably like 5 people are going to watch this video. Anyways, she becomes a villain. You ever heard of the solar tear? Or tear? People say it rains down from the sky to purge the world of evil when it's in danger. Is it real? It was my dream to fight against it. See, this is the kind of shit I like. The seemingly evil person was just acting towards some higher power against a fascistic delineation of good and evil. Uh-oh. It's the solar tear. We gotta run. It actually exists. I thought this was going to be like a fun, silly cartoon movie. I thought it was going to be like a Pixar parody and that it would trigger some insane bout of sentimentality and then a conflict between them. But this is actually just like way crazier. This is actually just like a cool story that Moza Kreese, I guess, just wanted to throw in. Did I help? Not really. You pretty much just stood there. Huh. It's a cute little twist ending. And then they have outtakes, like it is a Pixar movie. I guess it is kind of a Pixar parody, maybe. I always like the Pixar movies had outtakes. That's so silly. How was it? It was okay. Are they getting burritos? It's good, wasn't it? It was plain wholesome. I didn't really like how the princess having a change of heart and going home in the ending, though. She just stayed on the run and in the evil empire. It's a bad example for kids. Well, yeah, probably she made a compromise with her principles. Too extreme. The fighting has begun already. Don't you think the world peace is built on people making small compromises with each other? A very good point. Go again. You lie and you don't think there's anything wrong with it. You're the worst. Don't you ever think that dishonesty is what makes a mess out of the world? Peace is way more important. Oh man, this is... I don't know. I don't even want to... I'm just curious what they want to say. I'm not even going to try to weigh in on this because the friggin' 2 panels from the fake movie they were watching made me have to try to explain fascist ideology as seen through Nazi persecution of the Jewish people, which was not what I had been planning on talking about. So I think if I try to talk about the idea of honesty versus peace, yeah, no. You want world peace, but you like monsters. What gives? It's so contradictory, but to put it really simply, take this rainy scene. Is this actually what happened, do you think? Is this actually how he got his duck? But this doesn't look like his mom. We saw his mom once before when he was like throwing out the toys. Or when his mom threw out the toys, that is. Whoa! He's so flustered, he can't even get through his own example because he feels so bad about the duck he imagined. Wow, that's a big mood. I've done that to myself. I've definitely done that to myself before, especially when I was a kid. As a kid, I was like way more kind of crazy with sentimentality. Now it's kind of like I can keep it under control. Like it never gets away from me. Would a dirty demon lord go away? So you don't feel bad for the demon lord at all if he's the one in the rain. Might be strong and bad, but doesn't he deserve sympathy too? That's why I like monsters. Very interesting example. Of course I love objects the most. In that sense, objects have no equal. They continue to exist if I die. They're tough and long-lasting, but they're gentle and will accept anyone. Oh, yeah, that's true. She definitely is not of the opinion that objects are tough. She's the serial chopstick snapper. We're done for today. We've had lunch too. Time to go home. I just loves this duck so much. Oh, a nice shot. This is such a nice shot. I feel bad for Prez, but it seems like there's no way we can ever see eye to eye. We had a decent discussion going on. I like in this series, conversations feel extremely natural, often because one character is willing to let conversations die. Like, typically in these kind of philosophical conversational manga, or just any sort of story in any medium, it relies on the characters almost to an inhuman extent to be willing to continue to debate and to sincerely engage with one another. It's rare that you have a character that's willing to say stuff like this and that makes you think, oh, that's true. They've never really had a decent discussion going. It's always been kind of just kind of a dull collision that goes nowhere. But I think the series still manages to express really interesting ideas while never having the characters feel like they're more spokespersons for an idea than natural, full human characters, if that makes sense. If words can't help us, though, then violence wouldn't either. Be more gung-ho about violence and stuff at times like this. As if all I want is some honesty out of people. If I may, though, you can only say that because you pack a good punch. No way it would turn out well for weak people if all they can say is what they honestly think. They can't afford to be honest when they might get beaten up over it. If you can't truly say what you think because you're afraid of getting hit, then you'll be a punching bag for your entire life. Oh man, this made me think of something. It's way too complicated to explain the context of this, but there was a YouTube video I watched once where a guy was like basically ripping into somebody else, and he's like, and if you think otherwise, if you say otherwise, then you'll have to prove it to me. Like, come to me and fight me, but you won't win because I'm strong. And the whole video is very mocking and ironic and irreverent and kind of self-deprecating at times. If I try to explain who this person is in any greater detail. It'll take way too long. But in that moment, he seemed totally sincere, and I realized I was seeing like a very big part of his ideology, which was like, I'm allowed to be honest with how I really feel, and even if I'm wrong, it doesn't matter because I'm stronger than the people who say they're right. And it was kind of a chilling moment because I'm quite ideologically opposed to this person, and I was more just kind of like fascinated by his comedy after a certain point. And this is like one of the moments I realized, like, oh, not all of this is an act, or rather, it is kind of all an act, but the place that act is coming from is not the place that I thought it was originally. It was very disturbing. I'm talking about Sam Hyde, by the way. I'm not going to explain who that is, but you can research on your own. Yeah, Sam Hyde saying, if she doesn't like what I'm saying, then she can come and fight me. And just being like, wow, like, what a way to see the world. Neither of these viewpoints really are saying that, though. So you might wonder, why am I talking about it? And I might wonder that too. It's just this series puts me in a really weird mood, and I find strange memories keep coming back to me. Say that, but most people would get mad if you give them your honest opinion. They wouldn't. Even you would. I wouldn't. Totally would. Totally wouldn't. Really, really. What is his honest opinion? Is there something specific he means here? Some opinion he has of her? Because he's been pretty clear what he thinks about her before. Like, he said some stuff about you're quite unreasonable and blah, blah, blah. To be honest, I hate you. You're violent. The absolute worst. I guess he's never said it that explicitly, but that's not a surprise. It's surprising that he says that, you know, that he's actually kind of calling what he thinks is her bluff here. But her response isn't surprising either. Not mad, that's true. Pretty sure that's what people say behind me anyways. I'd rather be told straight to my face like this. You're actually amazing! Being honest feels so refreshing. From now on, I'll be honest. Whoa, uh-oh. This, I don't know about this. I've never seen him raise his hands like that. I've never seen him be so enthused. It's a little scary. I feel like he'll say something else to someone else. I hate people. Objects are all I love. Chunko is all I need, right? I'll be an object. I'll turn myself into one. Oh, God. Oh. Finally, the truth. Couldn't like you. You work hard. You work seriously, but I just couldn't. It's because I could somehow feel that you're always keeping up a lie. It seems like he's shocked, too, by what he said. Like this, when he says right, it's like he realized in that moment that he wanted to become an object. But what does that mean? All I can think is suicide. All I can think is that he's going to kill himself. And that, yeah, oh, I see a dark, dark road ahead where he does kill himself. And Morishita-chan, it's funny that I added Chan. I don't think anybody in the series adds Chan. But Morishita will realize that there are maybe limits to forcing honesty out of someone. She'll feel guilty that she encouraged him to be honest with his true desires, and that led to him killing himself. That's my guess. That's my guess. I see that as a potential road that this series could go down. I've always felt like this series had some tragedy lurking behind it. That it felt like one of those series where once you get to the big tragic element, that everything kind of retroactively takes on this foreboding, haunting aura. It's like I could sense that aura already reading through the series for the first time. I always felt like something bad was going to happen. So this is one bad thing I could see happening. Correct, I always was. Up until now, I've thought your way of thinking is idiotic. Like hell, I would just blurt it out. The only one who can truly understand me is Junko-chan. Yeah, he's really losing it. Pity you. Now that I think about it, you're suffering too. Possessed by lifeless things. Don't care. Objects are eternal. Objects are perfect. I wanted a peaceful world because then they would be kept safe. If everyone takes good care of them, there would immediately be peace. Let's really try to dive into his mindset here, because I think I'm on the verge of understanding. There's been times in my youth, I can remember these quite well, although they're very distant from me now, where I can remember a specific one. Let me see if I can find a similar object. Christian prayer crochet. I don't know what you'd call this. No, it's not crochet. It's crosspoint. Or needlepoint? I guess it's needlepoint. This is like a quilt. This is needlepoint. Okay, so I was in like a farmer's market, like a crafty handicrafts type thing, like handmade stuff. And I saw something like this, like an embroidered, stitched little thing that had a small prayer on it. And I was overwhelmed by the fact that someone had sat there and made it. I want to say I was like 12 or 13 or so. And it was kind of right around when I was losing my religion, to quote REM. It was when I was losing faith that I was beginning to realize that God probably didn't exist. But so I'm sure that factored into it. And in that moment, I pictured someone like my grandmother probably stitching this by hand slowly. Who knows if that's how it was actually made? It doesn't matter. I pictured that. I pictured that faith and love. There's no way we're going to find it. We've already scrolled way so low. Let's get rid of placard. Like this. Like this. There we go. Why did I put placard? I was just trying to think of what this kind of thing would be called. Like this kind of thing. Sitting there, making that, and then, this is key, it becomes an object. It becomes this physical thing in the world that once she made it, this woman that I imagine in my head being like my grandmother, and set it out for sale at this humble little stall in this farmer's market or flea market or whatever the heck it was, that it was kind of just out there in the world at the mercy of the world, even though it had been made, idealized in my mind, it had been made with such loving intentions that someone could buy it and desecrate it. Someone could buy it and throw it in the trash. It could be bought as a gift for someone else, and then that person could neglect it. That person could leave it wrapped in a corner, or unwrap it and toss it in a drawer, or sell it to some other shop or something. Just this potential history of the object that would be so contrary to the intent of its creator, and yet the creator is so helpless to have this object just out in the wild. It really, like the fact that I can remember this incident now, you know, so much later in my life, it really affected me. Like it really, like, yeah. So I think that's like something, like I think I can kind of see it. That he sees this rubber duck. It's such an innocent object. It's just created for like a child's amusement. And even though it's made in like a manufacturing press by a soulless corporation, he can sense that intent within it. He can sense the love that it's supposed to convey. The small vessel of love created unto this world, not to be neglected, not to be destroyed, but to be kept safe. I can understand. I think I can understand. I think I can understand, and yet at the same time, I acknowledge that it's crazy. I have often said too, I think I've probably talked about this on this channel once before. Maybe even in the previous videos about Game Club. So I'm sorry if you've just heard this story. But that I once got into an argument with a friend of mine, and I used a long-standing belief I've had, which is that we should be trained to naturally empathize. We should, by default, empathize with things, with anything and any time. Our default way of engaging with a new situation should be empathy. And so, I argued, you should extend your empathy towards inanimate objects. You should pity the rock. That if you see a rock being kicked into a gutter, you should feel bad that that rock's standing in the world has decreased. Now, that, of course, is insane. And I don't mean to say that people should believe that there is like a soul within that rock or that that rock is somehow conscious or anything like that. It's more just about having that kind of schema to your thoughts at all times. That the first thing you do is imagine, if I was that rock and I was kicked into that gutter, I would feel sad because I preferred sitting on the road. Right? I don't. So my argument was that this makes you better at empathizing with people because you just do it so naturally, and that that's where it matters. And so you should devote yourself to being able to empathize with people as best as you possibly can. I think this is actually kind of an interesting argument. I don't think it's like rigorous. I don't think it's actually that sound. At the time, my friend made very good counter arguments. What they are will be left as an exercise to the watcher. But I think it's a compelling enough line of thinking that, again, it's like you can understand how someone could become like this. Okay, okay. That rubber duck is controlling you. Peace for objects. Do you really want that? Oh my gosh, he's gonna friggin' destroy the duck. I should have chance. Stop. Oh no, don't go for the duck. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Eternal, you're wrong. They're fragile. I know that very well. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Oh no. He grovels. But this is just it. This is the thing that Morishiro-chan was so disgusted by. And she's doing this, she believes, as an act of kindness. She really thinks that the rubber duck is controlling him. And this is the clearest evidence of that at all, that she squeezes the duck and he gets down on his hands and knees. Beg you, I'm being truly sincere. Nothing good of me coming on this. Please do not take it to heart. Apologies, I'm beside myself. You monster, how could you do this to an innocent rubber duck? You're horrible. You said you wouldn't get mad. Please give her back. I'll do anything. Jesus. But this is exactly what she didn't want to see. Like, this is exactly the point she's trying to prove. That he could be happier and more fulfilled as a person if he wasn't like this. Even like your shoes. Back to being a liar again. Please just kill me. Don't kill her. Kill me instead. I'll rip this thing to shreds. Like, this seems ridiculous, right? This seems like the lunacy of a crazy person. And I don't deny that. To say that you would rather die than to see a duck die is crazy. But let's not discredit it. Let's not give it its due entirely. Like, let's not dismiss it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If you were in this state, think about how anguishing, how psychologically devastating it would be to watch that duck be destroyed. I think it's not unreasonable to say I would rather be dead than watch it be destroyed. And that's basically what he's saying, right? So don't think of it as that he genuinely thinks the duck is more important than him. I mean, he might, but like what that means is that he would rather die than see the duck get destroyed. If only you're actually in love with the president, I would even support you. Pathetic. You'd grovel without a shred of sincerity. You'd do anything to deceive others. Take a good look. I'll show you that not even objects last forever. She did it. Oh no, I think he's going over the bridge next. I think he's going over the bridge next. As soon as he said, I want to become an object. I didn't see this exact thing coming, but yeah. 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 Wow. Holy shit. Okay. Okay. This is going to be interesting. As I said, I really felt like something like this was coming. That was the great appeal of the series to me, I think, is that even though it was so cozy at times, even though it was so fun at times, even though it had such heart, I felt this aura that things were going to get bad. It was subtly conveyed. And I think this is something that speaks to the autorial aspect of manga. That is the fact that it's such an individual representation. It's such a passion project coming from just one individual. That if Imitation Crystal themselves were depressed, if they had a sense of imminent tragedy in their own lives, then there would be no way that that wouldn't somehow subtly come through in the manga. And I think I really felt it. And the fact that I could feel it, the fact that I sensed this, I think is part of why it's so special to me, part of why I leapt at the opportunity to blow a couple hundo on the books. I love this though. This is like such a thing that gamers do. Maxing one stat at a time. What is it? Oh my god. What is it? Suicune drowned. I killed him. I have to call his family, but I don't know the number. There's like cop cars here too, right? She already called the police and stuff. So I wonder where it's going to go from here. Because as I said, I always felt this aura of imminent tragedy. But how will they actually handle now that it's happened? Now that it's after the tragedy? I don't know. Oh, man. Oh, man. Look at her face. I can't get over thinking things like, I think that's kind of the face I would make if I heard this. You know, little things like that I just keep thinking. Oh, damn. Alright, well, we still have... Oh, man. This next volume is called Underwater. I mean, we're going to read it. We'll read the next chapter. Probably be another long, long video. So thank you to anyone. Perhaps it's no one. But if there is anyone, thank you for taking this journey with me. This is intense. Okay, goodbye.